Hello and welcome back to another video here on the Ajmracer channel. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to say I'm going to do the classic YouTuber thing, but look at graph. If you're new here and haven't subscribed and enjoyed the content, I would love it if you could subscribe. It would mean so much to me. And if you do enjoy the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like, as this took me a long time to put together, filming and editing. But, like you saw by the title, today we're doing a City Skylines build challenge. I'm going to be trying to build a city in 1 minute, 10 minutes, and 1 hour. Now, the 10 minutes and 1 hour cities aren't that much of a challenge. It's really that 1 minute city and how well the cities actually perform. But yeah, this took quite a bit of time and quite a few takes. So I do hope you enjoy it. And I know it's a little bit longer than usual, but I didn't want to cut out a ton. I'm already shortening stuff down by a lot. So yeah, thank you so much. Now, let's get right into our 1 minute city. Now, we're going to start off with the 1 minute, and just some guidelines for it real quick. I'm actually going to have 1 minute to only build the city. After that minute is up, I'm going to let timer run for a little bit, just so that, trying to get residents and businesses and industry in 1 minute, actually being built, is nearly impossible. So after the 1 minute's up, we're going to let time just run, but after the 1 minute, I will not be able to build anything. Now, I have my timer set, already set. Okay, it's time for our 1 minute city. Now, I start off with roads, obviously. I didn't care so much about how, traffic would work. I just cared about kind of symmetry, which kind of delayed me. We get in some basic electricity. We get a coal power plant. We get a water tower for water. In my first 2 runs, because this is actually my 3rd attempt, I completely forgot about sewage. So my citizens had water and electricity, but not sewage. So we just hook up everything up with power, and we throw in some zones, and that is it. Okay, that is time up. This is what we got. It is nothing special. Oh yeah, it's it's not good, but I only had 1 minute. Let's start time up. Everything appears to be okay, though. We will have power. We do have water and sewage. That's good. Oh, but we are not going to have any population because it's just so small. And I was really on the, I could have probably made it a little better, but even still, it was close, and yeah, it could have been bad, but let's just see how things go. Okay, so here we have a time-lapse of the city growing. It's not super eventful. It's a small city, nothing super big is going to happen, just a whole lot of residents moving in, me just looking at stuff, looking at happiness, so that way I can get ready to take final scores. But we do manage eventually to come out of the red and get into the green, which I found really surprising with this small, of a city, that they were able to cover their costs, not even having me raise taxes. But yeah, the city's full, so let's get into our final evaluation. So I'm going to call this pretty much done. Let's check our city statistics. We had a top population of 362. Our city treasury, obviously we don't have a ton because I spent a ton. What's our city budget at? 1,328. What is our city value at? It took a dip. It's at 65,000. Yep, 65,000. Taxation is going to be the same. What's our employment rate? We got a pretty high employment rate. Almost everyone is employed. What's our happiness at? Not so great. Just hovering above 60. We're not going to have a lot of this stuff because we're not even a little hamlet yet. Yeah. How much residential zone do we have? Almost 524,000. Okay. So this city was not bad. We did make a profit. We had a max population of 362. Yeah, for 1 minute, we didn't do too bad. Is it sustainable? Maybe, maybe not. But that's not for me to judge if it's sustainable. Let's move on to 10 minutes now. Okay, it is now time for our 10-minute build. We are on the same map, same everything. Pretty much same rules. I'm going to have 10 minutes to build, but instead of just letting time run at the end, because I have more time, I'm going to let time run like while I'm building, so that way I can try and achieve milestones, which factor into like the overall score I give the city that I've built. Let me get the timer set. Okay, let's get ready and go. Okay, it is now time for our 10-minute build. So I start off, everything kind of looks the same. And that is because when you're playing and like, you're trying to build against the clock, my thing is, it's best for me just to stick with something that, that works and branch off. So starting area is somewhat similar, not exactly the same, but close. It kind of is a battery. I try to get away from that though later in the build. But so we start off with some pretty big residential. Everything's going pretty well. I decide to expand it a little bit. I add these like weird curves. I don't know why I did that. Like I thought, oh, it would be a cool way to bring the one ways around, but it wasn't. It was kind of just ugly and useless. So we do end up removing them. I expand the residential out a little bit, trying to get more residents and to hit some milestones in the city. And we hit little hamlets. That gives us access to education, garbage, and Medicare. I start with getting in some garbage collection. I get in a landfill, and then I also get into school. I actually don't get Medicare for a little bit. I actually probably get the fire department and police department in there before it, just because I completely forgot. And when I had the money, I was too focused on other things. So we do end up removing the humps and getting in some more grid patterns. I've tried to stray away from grids, but when, you're crunched against time, it's easy just to draw lines instead of doing something elaborate and something that works. So that's kind of what I did. I prepped for the future a little bit, giving us lots of room to expand roads into. A lot of residential zoning, trying to get big, trying to hit as many milestones as I can in this short amount of time. We hit Worthy Village. That gives us access to the fire departments and police department, along with industries, some industries. But I didn't worry about those right away. I was worried about like expanding and getting our zoning satisfied. We do have power problems in the city though. So at the end you'll see that we do have a major power problem, and if I would have let the city run, it probably would have gone downhill. But I don't let it run because I'm like, okay, population started dropping. I'm like, that's the end. So and that is time. Now, like the 1 minute city, I am going to let time run for a little bit. I'm probably not going to let it run super long because we already have a pretty successful city going right now. Not great. Not great, again. We did hit Tiny Town. That's awesome. So we got a ton of stuff there. But even with the new unlock, doesn't matter. We're done building. I'm just trying to see where this remaining zoning will take us now. Okay, it is time to let the 10-minute city run and build up. Now, because of the challenge, I cannot build outside of the time limit, so people do start having power problems, and I don't do anything about it. The only time I actually did something about it is when I had to go back into the city to do some cinematic, shots, and I didn't want people abandoning their houses. But at that point, the challenge was already over. I already taken the grade. But yeah, so people start having problems, but that's not my fault because I can't do anything about it at this point. I'm just the watcher. I'm just watching, seeing how things unfold. Problems keep going on and off, and this is where it starts getting to the point where power is going to be the fall of our city because the houses don't have enough power, and eventually the sewage runs out of power, and the water runs out of power, and then people start dropping like flies, and everything comes to an end. But yeah, everything's getting pretty close to an end, so because things are going nowhere upwards, let's take our final assessment. And there it is. We're having problems, and for that reason, we're going to stop. We are going to look at things. Our top population, let's check that real quick. Our top population, 5. What was it? I can't zoom in on this graph, which makes it kind of hard to see. I'm going to just say 545. Right, 2,545. We did make some money. I don't know if this has an overall happiness. We'll have to get that. Ooh, our residential happiness dropped, but again, that's because we don't have power, which I'm going to count that because even, if I would have taken it earlier, we would have had like 80 happiness. But because the city is losing function, I'm going to take the numbers as they are once we've actually reached, the end of it. Where's the happiness in here so I can get an overall happiness value of 48. Not too good. And then let's see, we achieved 3 milestones. 1, 2, 3. Yep, 3 milestones. And how does our traffic look? 95. Okay. That is the 10 minutes to judge. Now, I would judge things like education and garbage, but then again, I'm giving it points that the 1 minute town didn't have time to achieve because of just the strains I put on it. So I'm trying to take points that are kind of universal across the cities. But with the 10-minute city down, let's head on to the hour one. This one's going to be good. Okay, it is time for our 1 hour city. Kind of like the last two, I have the whole hour to build. After that, I'm going to let zoning build up. I am going to run time while the hour is, though, because I'm not going to spend a whole hour with 0 population. I'm not going to rush too much because I've got a decent amount of time, but let's get started. Okay, it is now time for our 1 hour city timelapse. Now, this is actually on 8 times speed, because, like, it had to be, or else this video would be giant, super long. We start out with, like, the same grid pattern. Because I don't feel super crunched, I kind of go for some more, interesting layouts, some different traffic, like road distribution and stuff. We hit our first achievement pretty quickly. We hit Little Hamlet pretty quickly. We get expanding outwards. This city starts off pretty good. We do hit quite a few achievements right at the beginning. We get taxes. We start making lots of money. We got lots of money just to expand and do stuff. It's not my greatest city. I'm going to be honest. We do hit Tiny Town. But again, even with an hour, where where I still have a whole lot more time, I still feel like, I'm still trying to get as much as I can in that hour. So I'm still like, okay, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this. I'm not sitting there, like, getting all the little details and wasting time. So I'm just kind of, I'm not necessarily rushing against the clock, but at the same time, I'm not sitting there like, la, 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 let me take my time. I'm still trying to get as much as I can done in the time we have. We get some buses and some parks to raise up citizen happiness, which does factor in to how everything plays out. And we get a whole lot more zoning in to raise that population up. We move the bus routes out there. And yeah. So we did have a few problems. Like, I wanted to rearrange some of the roads because we were having some traffic issues. So I did do a little bit of that. And at this point, I just kind of let time run a little bit. Let things build up. So then I decided to go for an expansion. People needed more water, so I got them more water. I expanded our bus routes out a little bit. I expanded the industrial area out a little bit. We had Busy Town. So we unlocked tree line roads, which I upgraded all the residential roads to tree line just to that little boost in happiness. And I use up the rest of the area on this side of the river, of like our starting tile, all the way up pretty much to the river. I do raise a few things in budgets. I get some more leisure in, hopefully to raise that happiness up. I check traffic to see how everything's going. I move, just upgrade some roads, move the firehouse so that I can upgrade the roads, Just stuff like that. I also upgrade to highways because we have those now. I expand Sheffield Park, I think the neighborhood is. And I add in kind of like a downtown area because we did end up unlocking the higher zoning, so like high residential, high commercial, stuff like that. So I start to build a little bit of a downtown area where that can all be in its own kind of separate area. We do have a little bit of a suburb. I need a little bit more of a push to get there, but I did have the downtown planned and ready to be zoned for once we did end up hitting the milestone. I had to get the water out there, I had to get power out there, which was kind of an issue because I zoned it all at once to make sure that we could get it in after time ran, but even still, then they were popping up in different areas, and I had to get them all power. Then I had all residential, and I had different demands, so I had to suit that all. I do end up taking a loan, though, for a metro, which does deduct some points. That's because, loans, you're not supposed to take them. I guess they're not bad, but also they're not good. But yeah, that's it for the city. It was a long one, but let's get ready to judge it. Coming down. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I am hands off. Let's let everything run and build up. Ready to take some final numbers to judge this city. Okay, it is now time to let our 1 hour city run. So basically the way I had it out is because technically I can run it for a while and it'll never truly be filled. I basically said once we hit 12,000 citizens, we'll stop it there, we'll call it there, and we will tally up final scores. So I started looking around, I wanted to see how everyone was doing, just to see, kind of get a generalization of where it was going to head. Even though, a lot could have changed. We could have gotten hit by a level 10 meteor, 4 of them. And, that could have completely obliterated the city. I did focus a lot on the downtown section, though, while I was, monitoring things and just waiting around. Because pretty much the whole suburban area, this area we started with, was pretty much done. It was just the downtown area, which had to fill up and, grow before I could really call this done. Because, we needed a lot of demand, which we didn't end up getting. So it doesn't ever really, fill all the way up. But like I said, we do end up hitting that 12,000s eventually. And I call it there just because, we start having sewage problems, like in our 10-minute city. And at that point, I was like, okay, we're going to have to start having sewage problems. So the city's, population is probably not going to jump up really how much from there because no one's going to want to live in a city where, you can't flush a toilet. But yeah, we do end up hitting the 12,000. I call it there. And we take our final numbers, which we will be judging now. Okay, so for our 1-minute city, our total, we had a population of 362, we made money, we had a residential happiness of 31, commercial happiness of 64, industrial happiness of 69. Our traffic flow was 95, we hit 0 milestones, which gives us a total score of 103, but a weighted score of 6,180. For our 10-minute city, we had a population of 2,545, we did make money. We had a residential happiness of 36, a commercial happiness of 44, and an industrial happiness of 50. Our traffic flow was 95, and we had 3 milestones, giving us a total score of 410 and a weighted score of 2,460. And for our 1 hour city, we had a population of 12K. We did make money. We had a residential happiness of 86, a commercial happiness of 71, industrial happiness of 99, traffic flow of 89. Milestones, we had 7, but we did have a loan, which subtracted our 5 points, giving us a total score of 12,439, same as weighted. Okay, but with the final scores put together, our 1-minute city had a score of 103, which is weighted at 6,180. Our 10-minute city had a score of 410, which is weighted to 2,460. And our 1 hour city had a score of 12,439, which is not weighted. To no one's surprise, the 1 hour one, there was so much more time put into it. But what's really surprising is the 1 minute beat out the 10-minute. So if we were to, in theory, let the 1-minute city, continue on for 10 minutes, it would surpass the 10-minute city, which it did in its 10-minute time. But none of them would have surpassed the hour actual city in the hour. But again, things can happen, so this is not, solid. But yeah, that's the final scores. So let's just jump in to the outro and conclude the video. I would like to take a moment to personally thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like, and if you're new, subscribe. Also, if you made it this far in the video, you are absolutely awesome. Thank you. You are what keeps me doing this. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today, guys. I will see you all later.